G'day. Just some quick comments. First of all, I want to show you a new movie that's come out on Salem now. I will give you a link to it. This seems like something really, really worthwhile supporting. Can I make this full screen? Give me just a second. Let me take that back to the beginning. Is that full screen? There we go, full screen. And go back to that. So this movie is called The Great American Race Game, Great American Race Game. And I'll give you a link to it now so that I don't forget. Here's the link. By the way, if you want to join the stream, here's the link to that, but I'm not going to be going for very long, so you'll have to get here quickly. BCC StreamYard list. And I'll also give you it's another thing that needs to be automated. So it automatically sends out Right, let's listen to this video. You might remember this lady from earlier this year, I think it was, or was it late last year, when the BLM thing and people were painting defund the police and Black Lives Matter and everything, which is a neo-Marxist movement. Defund the police and Black Lives Matter are both neo-Marxist movements that are trying to destroy Western civilization. They hate Christianity, they hate capitalism, and there are reasons to hate capitalism, but capitalism is also a force for good in our world, and the only alternative to capitalism is Marxism, or feudalism, if we want to go back there, which is what the elites are trying to do. Take us back to feudalism. We'll become serfs / slaves of masters, those who own everything. So this woman rightly fought back. Might not have been the right way, but it was a viral moment of defiance against this satanic deception.
It's the devil! Why do it? Why take
Black Lives Matter is the devil. Black lives do matter, but the Black Lives Matter movement is the devil. And you're bowing down to Satan.
Who are you bowing to? Oh,
yep. Who are you bowing to? You're bowing to the neo-Marxists, the neo-fascists.
Bow. I'm not racist. You're basically telling these Democrats you submit to their agenda and you bow to them.
In America, it's the Democrats or whoever's pushing it wherever you are. You're bowing down to Klaus Schwab and the Great Reset. George Soros. And the rest of them. It's much greater than that. I don't even know who they all are, and I don't care. Ultimately, it's the devil.
The agenda. I will never bow, and I'll encourage anybody else. Don't bow.
Hey, Kevin, if you want to hop on, go for it.
The Democratic Party somehow has convinced black people that they're the good guys. Never mind the skanky history of the Democratic Party. That was a party of slavery.
He said, listen, I gotta give these niggas enough. Not too much, but enough that I have them voting Democrat for the next 200 years.
If more than a third of black people stopped voting for the Democrats wouldn't win any election.
It becomes an existential crisis.
The basket of deplorables untouchable, racist, bigot. The term simmering under.
Yeah. If you're a white person, you're a racist. Unless you bow the knee and admit that you're a racist. So you've now admitted you're a racist. So all white people are always racist. It's just whether they admit it or not and submit to this neo-Marxist agenda. Hey, Kevin, have you submitted to the global elite yet?
Never.
Or are you fighting against the devil?
That's right. So I have a couple of comments about the whole Black Lives Matter thing, right? So It's a hard issue for me because I probably never told you this, but my father was mixed. He was half black. So I'm actually of African descent, but you wouldn't know by looking at me because I take after my mother.
Yes.
My sisters are a little darker than I am. So anyway, so I have half of my family, my dad's side, which is dark. I got my mom's side, which is English, German, and Irish, I believe.
Yep.
And so my sisters tend to support this movement.
Right.
And I support the words Black Lives Matter because of course they do.
Absolutely.
But I don't support what the movement as a whole stands for, the things that they want.
Yep. Everything else that's been attached to that is of the devil. Black lives matter. Of course they matter, just like white lives matter and Asian lives matter and every life matters. But the Black Lives Matter movement is much more than just saying Black Lives Matter.
Yes.
And that's the problem. That's the problem.
All the stuff that's attached to it is bad.
And so what I will say is all lives matter. And people will say, oh, so you're demeaning black. No. All. That includes black. All lives matter and we are all equal. That's what we should be fighting for. Stop with this nonsense of dividing us by race. Race is meaningless. It doesn't mean anything. It just means that that person has a little more melanin in their skin than that person. But what does that matter? Who cares? Yes, it has a physical effect that those people can survive in hotter, sunnier climates better than those people. Those people survive better in less hot and less sunny climates. So I'm in the wrong part of the world. I'm in the north of Australia, close to the equator, and my skin, well, it is possible to get whiter than me, but not much. I hate being in the sun for this very reason. That's why I love being inside. But yeah, God's made us all of one blood. Yep. All lives matter. One blood, one race. There aren't multiple races. That's a demonic lie. There's not a black race and a white race. There's not Caucasian and I don't know what they used to call Negro. It's rubbish. And you know where it came from? You know who were the biggest promoters of it 100 years ago? 200 to 100 years ago? Evolutionists. Evolutionists. If you want to remove racists and if you want to tear down statues of racists, tear down Darwin. Tear down Darwin. Let's get rid of evolution. Get rid of Darwin. Get rid of those who promoted it. Huxley. Get rid of, who was that liar? I've forgotten his name. Ernst Haeckel. Ernst Haeckel, who said embryonic recapitulation. He was a massive racist. Get rid of the people who forced the Indians off their land and forced them into reservations because they were racists. Let's get rid of that. And you know the biggest supporters of it? The Democrat Party in America. The Democrat Party are the racists. If you want to get rid of races in America, get rid of the Democrat Party because they're still promoting racism today. But they're playing this really clever game where they've actually flipped it on its head. Oh, we've still got to separate between the races. So now they're poor oppressed whites that need money all the time. I mean, the poor oppressed blacks. We need to give them money. Of course, they don't call them blacks because that's now racist. But we still say whites. So the racism continues and continues and continues and continues, and they just keep changing the rules. But what happens when you give people welfare? You put them in slavery, where they will always need that welfare. The best thing to do is to get off welfare.
I agree. Absolutely.
I'm on welfare at the moment because of my circumstances, but as soon as possible, I want to get off welfare. And this idea that black people, or poor black people, they don't know how to get an ID. That's what the Democrats say. Oh, it's racist to demand an ID.
See, Graham, I want to
black
say
people,
something.
black people, they're too stupid to get an ID is essentially what these white leftists are saying. They need our help. We need to rule over the black people. That's what they're saying. They just don't admit it.
Living here in America, well, in New York State, we're a more heavier tax state and more liberal. We're one of the most liberal states in the country.
Yeah.
And,
Don't have to tell me.
So, listen, so here's my take on welfare, right? So people that actually need it, like that are either unable to work or disabled, whatever, I have no problem like helping those people. But
Agree.
the thing that bothers me is that there's people that scam the system because they're too lazy to work.
Yep. Yeah. So there's that. There's people who are too lazy, but there's also the people that are encouraging this underclass of people who are on welfare, who will always vote leftist because they need that welfare to survive. They don't know how to live without welfare. And so they'll also always vote leftist. Give me just a second.
You know how to connect it on your computer? Because I've tried to on mine.
Oh, I bet it's the iTunes. Probably.
Oh, do I have to open iTunes?
That's probably what I was thinking on the way back. Oh, bitches, that silly iTunes. Is
Because-
it not coming across at all or nothing?
Kevin, I'm going to have to go. I'll shut down. See ya.
All right, have a good one.